Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie Podcast. We're the movie podcast that makes every Monday a fun day because we just love to talk about movies. But we've also got a point. We're the movie podcast where we're trying to find one movie to define each state in the United States. At least that is usually what we are doing, because currently we're into the second round of the International State Championship of the World, where we are trying to crown one state the ultimate champion of America to decide what is the greatest American movie of all time. My name is Ollie Petsku. I love movies. I've hosted movie shows, but I found two guys that love movies just as much, if not more, than me. So let's welcome them back to the show. Ryan Sandler, buddy, welcome back.
That's great to be here. I'm so excited to talk about the results from our first bracket and the potential for the movie that's going to win it all, which I'm sure will upset absolutely nobody. There's going to be a universal acceptance of this film.
Dozens of people will be thrilled by this. Of course, our other amazing co-host, let's welcome him back with his amazing shaved head, currently sitting in the middle of his video store where he lives 24 hours a day. Will Hirsch, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, great to be back. And just so you guys know, do not buy a 4DX ticket to The English Patient. It's not the same experience as Twisters. It was a waste of $45, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure the burning flames at some point was not a fun experience.
That wasn't great, and then a lot of talking.
I do like this running bit that we've got going on of just coming up with the most insane 4DX releases, like Schindler's List 4DX.
Marriage Story is great, though, because Adam Driver just punches you.
Ooh, that's kind of, yeah, I'm into that. Yeah.
But we also have a special guest here for round two, because they say that choosing just one movie to represent America would be impossible. And I want to bust that myth. So we've called former Mythbuster, friend of the pod, Kari Byron. Welcome back to the show.
Hi there. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Also love the t-shirt, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you for sending this to me. I love getting free clothing. And
Yeah, we haven't gotten a cease and desist from James Hong yet, so.
No.
The infamous Hung Like a Horse t-shirt,
right.
as created on our challenge episode in California, our first YouTube episode, where Kari came on and managed to convince us. We were all in still on Point Break, and it took 1 2-minute diatribe where you pointed out AI and the techno fear of California, and you brought Blade Runner into this. Well, actually, it didn't last round one. Actually, it lost out to the giant spider invasion, I think.
As it should.
Come on.
Again, it's so funny, Kari. We were going through our list of, we finished the 50 states and going through our list of all the winners. It's pretty problematic, to say the least. Just looking through all of them, you're like, how did this? Wait, what was that? How did this get?
Genuinely, there are some that won that we can't remember how they won. But the thing is, that's why we like doing the podcast. You walk in, you think you know where you're going to end up, and somebody says something. And before you know it, you end up with the giant spider invasion taking out Blade Runner.
I think you got to work on your parameters for what makes it. I think there's got to be a little more consistency.
I think we were clear from the beginning. There are no parameters. We honestly have no idea.
We judge most movies on how many giant spiders there are in it.
Yes.
So.
Or how many license plates you see. A key running thing that we have in all these movies. If you get to see a license plate for that state, that's a good signature of that movie is set in this place.
Well, I will tell you this much. I will actually be able to defend the giant spider invasion beating Blade Runner when we get to it. But what we are going to do right now, guys, is we're going to take it down 2 more rounds, okay? So we've got 16. We're going to take it down to a final 4. Next week, we'll take that final 4 down to a winner. So we thought, who better to come back in, help us than Kari Byron, who is not only incredibly talented, but also you studied film at college. You know a lot about movies. You're in fact one of our most knowledgeable guests. So we can't wait to have your opinion as we go through these different matchups. So has anyone got a favorite right now? Is anyone anyone feeling like a favorite? Because I'll go through our finalists as we got them at the moment. We've got Arizona's The Wraith up against The Iron Giant from Maine. We've got RoboCop from Michigan up against Pig from Oregon. That is a great movie. we've got what is agreed through this podcast as one of the perfect movies that we have had on the show. Ferris Bueller's Day Off from Illinois up against the Giant Spider Invasion from Wisconsin. Next up, we've got one of Will's all-time favorite movies, really. He's just a big fan of Big Fish from Alabama. Up against one of the movies that has just the craziest story behind it, Miami Connection from Florida. If Florida could be defined by a movie, Miami Connection is that movie. This one, I think, is going to be the hardest matchup of them all. This is maybe the most American matchup we've ended up with, but we've got Friday Night Lights from Texas up against Field of Dreams from Iowa. Yeah, I know they couldn't be more similar. We've got City Slickers from New Mexico, another perfect movie, up against Thunder Heart from South Dakota. We've got Casino Nevada up against Swamp Thing from South Carolina. And we have Grampy Old Men from Minnesota up against Bull Durham from North Carolina. We've got two Kevin Costner baseball movies in one draft.
As you're reading these off, I'm picturing some sort of 21 Jump Street Men in Black style crossover where each one of these matchups is just mashed together.
Give me the Wraith and the Iron Giant combo any day of the week.
Oh,
100%.
Here I go. Here I go, Wraithen again.
I don't know. Anybody got any favorites in there? You know, if you want to put some money on where you think we're going to end up.
Ferris Bueller, man. I know we keep going back to it. It is such a perfect movie. It's gonna be a tough one to beat.
I think Ferris Bueller's a favorite for me as well. I will put in the dark horse of RoboCop.
Yeah, true.
Very defining. What about you, Will?
Obviously Giant Spider Invasion, like high up.
Sure.
That's what I'm pulling for. But you know, like honestly, the Friday Night Lights, like Field of Dreams round, like I would have guessed either one of those to make it all the way to like the end.
Mm-hmm.
So my feeling is like, because both of those are so American and just also incredible, I'm feeling like it might be one of those. Sad we got to eliminate one. But
what about you, Kari? Any?
Okay, so explain to me again. Is this so now we're coming down to one movie? Is this one movie to define America as a whole by defining its state? What exactly am I judging?
Well, you know what? The thing is, unclear. Okay, it's definitely not which is the best movie. Okay, so at the movie, we're still going up against each other that which one, is being more representative of their state, but also with that underlying part of sort of Americanness to it. Which is why when it came to sort of like the Iron Giant and Killers of the Flower Moon, they were very, very tough to pick between the two. Killers of the Flower Moon is so intrinsically telling an Oklahoma story, shot in Oklahoma with the Osage people. But then also when it came to the Iron Giant, being that sort of like, it's also touching on Maine and the way it sort of guts into the people and also the way it's got that history, but it's also just got that thing, that little zhuzh that pushed it over the edge. So it's, you're judging it on whether or not it does the state well, but we're now getting into the America of it all at the same time. But at the same time, go with your gut, Kari.
Yeah.
If you're wearing a Hong
It's like picking a vice president.
Yeah, right.
Right, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
So much criteria
really
and no
yeah.
criteria. Okay. I will pull from my film knowledge back in college the way some people pull French because they took a class back in college.
That tracks, yeah.
Absolutely.
There he goes.
we're gonna, but the thing is, there is definite bias, and that is fine, Kari. We are not creating a thesis here. We are a podcast. We're having fun because if there wasn't bias, we wouldn't have movies like The Wraith doing so well. In fact, let's kick it off, right? What we're going to do right now, we're going to start with what is, I think, maybe the most popular movie on the podcast. I'm pretty sure we almost started with this movie, but let's go with The Wraith from Arizona up against The Iron Giant from Maine. Two movies that could not be more different, but both feature aliens that kind of are a little bit robotic. So, Kari, question to you first. Have you seen The Wraith?
It has been a very long time, so I might need some reminders. This is like the 80s that it was out.
It's like late 80s, right? Yeah.
So I'm
it's
pretty
Charlie
sure
Sheen.
I haven't seen it since it was VHS tapes.
It tells the story of a high school kid that dies, but then comes back to life for some reason, but doesn't come back to life as the same person. He comes back as Charlie Sheen, who is also personified by a car that goes around the back streets of sort of like North Phoenix, where we used to live, and challenges bad guys to races because they killed him? Question mark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
that's
this. It was when I was working at a video store and I was a teenager that I took this tape home. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I think we
I'm a
said it was like it's like The Crow, but with cars, with a little bit of
Yes.
Mad Max in there,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and
It
just
starts-
like let's do it in Tucson. I guess I don't know.
So it starts Charlie Sheen, Sherilyn Fenn, Nick Cassavetes, and Randy Quaid as
Yes,
well.
that's right. Mhm.
Yeah, he was the sheriff.
Mhm.
And it's so bizarre because there's weird stuff that when he does kill the bad guys, remember guys, don't they, for some reason he sucks their eyes out?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
just
How could you forget?
and then inexplicably gets bits of metal on. I just love how the movie starts.
He's
It just-
absorbing the parts to become more powerful,
but-
obviously.
of course. But it starts off with a very sort of like almost close encounters.
Close Encounters, right?
Yeah. Kind of vibe, and this sort of ball is just flying through the little back roads of Arizona, and then suddenly, boom! There's a guy dressed in leather, and he's got a car, and it says the Wraith, and you're like, okay, I guess
Okay,
we're watching
here
this
we go.
movie.
We're off to the Wraiths.
It also felt like Charlie Sheen was on set for 2.5 days, and I
Yeah.
do believe the very next movie he went to go and do was Platoon.
Sure.
A much worse movie, but all.
Yeah,
It is-
if you look the history of that film, it's crazy. I think they originally, and we have to go back to the episode, but I think they wanted like Johnny Depp to do it because he was there because he was dating Sherilyn Fenn at the time. But then they got Charlie Sheen to do it. I don't know.
And then wait a minute, Johnny Depp also went off and did a movie called Platoon immediately
sure.
after as well. He's only in that movie for like 2 sequends. But
They do the Hot Shots part. Do that. I loved you in Platoon.
what we liked about this movie at the time as well, Carrie, is it was available for free on YouTube. That's how good a movie it is. But as soon as our episode comes out, suddenly Amazon Prime puts it on. So we are
Yeah.
People love this movie. Because I made that shirt and I was trying to like promote the podcast. There's a
this
Wraith.
shirt.
That's
It's
right,
Wraith
that's the
time,
one.
baby.
Yeah.
I almost wore that one. I was trying to decide between the two. I'm so glad we'd have matched.
I love this t-shirt.
But there's a Wraith Facebook group that people are voracious for this film, and people are 3D printing the car and it's pretty.
Yeah,
It's a crazy cult hit.
it's you to the point that you sent a link to Jay Leno's garage where he's
Yeah,
driving.
that just happened.
Yeah, so like that's what I mean is that it's a movie that people are either all in on, like they remember getting that VHS as a kid, or they remember watching it late night, or you're me
I've never
going,
heard of it.
the what?
Yeah.
The thing is though, Mrs. and I put on the Wraith, and it's so enjoyable because it's just so strange. It's
It's
like
just
Streets of
cheesy
Fire
enough,
kind of crazy.
It's a
It's
fun
just-
like party watch, like for
I
sure. You
agree.
get a group
Yeah.
of people together and watch it because it's chances are only one, like you said, you'd seen it forever ago or no one's ever heard of it, but it's a fun movie to watch.
It's
Stand by
it's very
I
Arizona.
already forgot what it's up against. The Iron
It's
Giant.
against Iron Giant, so this is a very strange.
A real Sophie's choice. Yes.
Well, we do have the story of, like I said, an alien being for some reason coming back and bringing a guy back to life.
God, the overlap of these movies is pretty. If you break
And we
it
do
down,
have, yes, an alien being who lands, in this case, Maine, and doesn't create a car, but does become a giant robot.
Mhm.
In one case, there's no real plot. There's only actually one act to the Wraith, which is he comes back and he kills them all. There's no like act two. There's no anything that has. It's just the movie just ends and there's credits.
Right.
Whereas the Iron Giant actually has,
they ride off into the sunset and then maybe into the moon. I don't know. Does he?
yeah, and it's so that movie. I
Is it
have
because
watched-
it's never established that he's an alien? I thought it was a ghost, like a wraith.
but
I don't know.
also an alien. Why the car?
Yeah, because the opening scene. God damn it!
So, but then again, we are up against Brad Bird's The Iron Giant. This is kind of the movie that made Brad Bird
Yeah.
Brad Bird, and it's a movie that didn't like blow up as much as it should have, but has over time just become more and more and more and more
Yeah.
highly regarded
Yeah.
because it's incredible. Carrie, what's your thought on The Iron Giant? Because I love this movie.
I mean, I love Iron Giant, but once you stoke the fires of Wraith in my heart, I mean, I'm like, I come from a place of like Repo Man is like one of my top movies, like that era of movies.
Mhm.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't think it's gonna hold up.
And I mean, and I feel like the Iron Giant has just become like what ET was like for a different generation, you know?
Ooh, I
Mhm.
like that take.
Pretty much like because it's almost the exact same movie, right? I mean, except ET doesn't turn into a fucking weapon and murder a bunch of people, but
Yeah,
Though,
we didn't
maybe
get to
in
eat too.
yeah.
that's right.
Yes.
That's what I. So ET2 apparently was gonna get wild, and like
ET2 Judgment Day? Hell yeah. Let's
Yeah.
fucking go.
Time.
just blows people up with his finger.
Fuck.
I am on
I
Spielberg.
feel like we're making that an AI later. What do you say?
Yeah, Spielberg, let's fucking go, dude.
Honestly, Carrie, the amount of movies we've accidentally
Oh my
invented
God.
on this show, we should have our own production studio right now. We've had all the greatest ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, you gotta give it to the Iron Giant, like, that it does hit you right here. I can't watch the Iron Giant without towards the end getting all teary and goosebumpy, and it's just like to the point. I was even watching Ted Lasso again because it's Ted Lasso. Why don't I watch that? And it gets to the point where the movie night is they're showing the Iron Giant, and you just got all these grown men crying their eyes out. That it's like when I first went into this movie, all I knew of it was the book that I'd read when I was a kid. I read the Ted Hughes book. But I love what they do with this movie, and I love that it seems like Brad Bird was allowed to do what he wanted, you know, like with the timing of it. I mean, just such great humor. The animation, it's just,
It's
I
great,
think it
yeah.
harkens back to classic animation while at the same time having that little smidgen of new, you know, with the Iron Giant being actually like computer generated instead of animated and things like that. I mean, like, I love the Wraith, but like, part of me is like, the Iron Giant has stood, actually, I was about to say stood the test of time, but like we've just said, the
Yeah.
Wraith.
Now
everyone-
picture that episode of Ted Lasso where he's showing the team the Wraith, and they just the show just ends because they just go on to win everything. Like, I mean,
so all right. So let's kind of try and break it down. All right, cultural impact. They've both had their own cultural impact. All right, I'm going to give you that. Like you said, Ryan, there is still a Facebook page where people are like, no, the Wraith.
I mean, I'm sure there's one for the Iron Giant too, but who fucking cares? I mean, people aren't going out and buying like Wraith posters and Wraith like dolls from Mondo and all that other stuff. I mean, the movie is like it's such an iconic film, The Iron Giant.
And
Yeah.
but also, but the Wraith, like you said, just last week, Jay Leno's garage, he's driving the Wraith car.
Yeah, you
So-
could argue though that he's really running out of material though.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't think he was clear on
he's
what
doing-
he was driving. He
He's
was
done
just
a
kinda-
second Wraith episode. The first one he was on CNBC with Charlie Sheen promoting it.
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
never
why
mind.
my buddy sent me that. I'm like, yeah, I saw this years ago. He's like, no, he uploaded this 4 hours ago. I'm like, oh shit, is there a new Turbo Interceptor video? Like, what is happening? Is it the anniversary of the film? I don't know.
Who knows?
Don't know.
I mean, it's still available for free on YouTube if you want to watch it. But okay, so the Wraith was shot entirely in and around Tucson, Arizona. It is very, very. I mean, honestly, we're watching the movie thinking like, well, we used to live down the road from there. You've got characters like Skank and Gutter Boy.
My boys.
I mean, fundamentally, the movie does start with just these guys are bad guys who, if you don't race them, they will sexually assault your girlfriend. That's how the movie starts.
Well, it was the 80s in Tucson, so
And so you're quite happy that they all get murdered. It's a quite enjoyable watch.
And Carrie, keep in mind the Wraith beat out both Tombstone and used cars for our Arizona episode.
well, they didn't have any
Wow.
race in them, so
I mean,
Yeah.
we're very pro Wraith on this.
Yeah.
All right.
As
Well,
I
look,
say.
straight up. Let's
But
just
anyway.
start right now. Let's start and see where we are for a vote. Who votes which?
I mean, I want the Wraith to win just because it would be so goddamn funny. But I know the Iron Giant is the better of the two films. Like, I
Okay,
think,
but is
as-
it the more American of the two movies?
yeah, probably.
It
They do
does
have
touch-
it does have the military in it.
it
That's
does.
what's more American than
true.
that.
Children in danger. It's got that. It's got the Cold
yeah.
War, single moms.
I mean, when I think about these movies, and I think about the movie that like gets me the most emotional, the most nostalgic, where I start to cry at the end, and then I think of the Iron Giant, and I gotta go with Iron Giant. Like, just as much as I love the Wraith, giant robots always win me over. Like
Right.
that,
True.
my brain shuts off even if the movie's really bad. I'm just like big robot, and I love it.
I mean,
But
my
thankfully, this is an excellent movie.
my
So,
argument against the Iron Giant is that it did kind of also give us Osmosis Jones. So
that it never mind Wraith. I changed my mind.
Is it the
The
same
Osmosis
production
Jones.
studio?
yeah, I think we talked about they
That's
did the
right.
animation because the David Hyde Pierce character, which is like a Tylenol, but he was
Yeah, he
also
was like
3D
a-
animated like
yeah.
the Iron Giant was.
Yeah, I got a soft spot for that movie, but you guys you didn't.
Osmosis Jones?
Yeah, you hated that movie, right?
We liked the animation bits of it, the live action stuff that the Farrelly brothers shot.
What's
was,
this we? I don't think I agreed to. I like the animation. I
I
hated
mean,
pretty much every
yeah,
frame of that movie.
yeah, that movie's pretty gross.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Anyway,
Carrie.
we're not talking about that movie.
Carrie, what
Yeah.
do you think? I know you were leaning towards the Wraith. Are you still Wraithing right now? Is it Wraithing time, or is it Iron Giant? There's no wrong answer here.
I think I need more coffee before like my cold heart melts because I'm going Wraith. I just feel like
Oh, shit.
America right now feels more Wraithy than Iron Gianty. I'm just going with my current feelings out, the vibes in the world. Feel a little more like Alien Revenge.
Oh,
Okay.
this I like. This is why we get Carrie on the show.
Yeah.
I'm a role model.
Call me a certified Wraithist because I'm on board.
Cut that.
Because I like the Wraith. The Iron Giant is obviously the better movie. I mean,
Yeah.
like, but the Wraith. I think, you know what I like about the
Captured my
Wraith?
heart more though.
It's got the most American of things going for it right now. Is that it is the underdog, and America loves underdogs. All right. Not only does it have underdogness, it's also got a ridiculously overpowered car. All right. It's got explosions which are completely unnecessary, and it does have lots of guns in it as well. I mean, it is a purely American story in one way. So I'm kind of like I'm leaning a little Wraithy as well. So at the moment, it's a two-way tie, which
And only one of them has Clint Howard in it.
right. Yes,
That's true.
This is
It
true.
might- The Clint
Wearing-
Howard bump might put it over the edge.
Yeah, with the Eraserhead wig.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I mean,
And
for
I
me,
guess
it's
I guess the fact that the Wraith is actually filmed, like it actually like they did go somewhere. I
Right.
guess that also helps.
True. Also, I think they just announced Glenn Powell is going to star in the remake of The Wraith.
Wraiths.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Sydney
Wraith.
Sweeney is playing the car.
The Wrath of Wraith.
You know, everyone's going to go and see those movies. That's going to be amazing. So I don't know. I kind of like what Will's put it out. It's a good point, Will. It's like it actually goes out there in America, very, very iconic America.
Yeah.
It looks like Arizona. Oh, we're doing it. We're the worst podcast.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm
we're
putting it
we're
in.
the worst podcast for now.
But the Wraith from Arizona moves into round 3.
My God.
Oh,
You'll love to see it.
I just wouldn't have put money
Yes.
on that one, but I love it. Absolutely. Okay, that's great. Sorry, Iron Giant. Yes, you made us cry, but the Wraith made us cry happy tears. So long may it continue. It's Wraith in time. All right. Well, the Wraith has made it this far. It's going to be going up against one of these two movies, both of which have their own unique Americanness to it. It's RoboCop. Paul Verhoeven's
no.
masterful satire that still
Mhm.
hits on the nose even today, up against Pig. Nicolas Cage's 2021 movie. It has pure Oregon all through it, and it's got all of the craziest parts of Nicolas Cage at the same time. So I guess I'm going to start again with Carrie. Carrie, have you seen both of these movies? I'm sure you've seen RoboCop, but have you seen Pig?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I honestly think that there are a few things more American than Nicolas Cage. So that's going to be really tough.
So, like, how did you see Pig? I mean, pretty sure. I mean, we saw it. It was on streaming when it came out during the pandemic, and for a lot of us, it was just a lot of the press was just talking about it being Nicolas Cage's best role since leaving Las Vegas. You know, how did you hear about it? How did you see it? What was your reaction to Pig?
I saw it a little late. I mean, I saw it streaming as well in my living room, and I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It was wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like John Wick, but with cooking.
Yeah, I also love I love the whole truffle story is
Yeah.
such a weird twist.
It's so
Never
Oregon.
never been worked into a film in that way before.
True.
And it was directed by Michael Sarnowski, and one of two directors that we've had on this show, because we had another director, the director of Minari, who went on to then be directing one of the big movies of the summer, Twisters. And then this guy, Michael Sarnowski, did Pig, and then he went on to direct one of the big movies of the summer, just came out, A Quiet Place Day One.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting how like we had them on the podcast, and then making these very small, very specially made, beautiful movies. Both Minari and Pig.
That's why Greta Gerwig's going to direct the next Blade.
I wish.
Yeah. Written and directed.
Put that out in the universe, please.
I mean, please.
I'm down.
I am on board for that. But yeah. I mean, like Pig, this is a very hard matchup. All right, very hard, because there is no movie that better skewers America to me more than RoboCop.
It's still weirdly relevant to like
is his other follow-up is the giant bug one, whose name I'm
the giant spider invasion. Sure,
the giant spider.
Naturally.
Hang on, what am I talking about?
Starship Troopers.
Thank you. Is that, and we've talked about this on the podcast, Kari, is that I feel like sometimes non-Americans do America better than American directors. They kind of lean into the excess.
You keep saying that, and as a non-American,
maybe it's just my intrinsic bias.
Huh.
But RoboCop, come on. I mean, RoboCop is from the 80s, and it is still today regarded as just classic American movie.
While it was filmed in Dallas,
it was filmed
Detroit
in Dallas.
Really hasn't changed much since it was portrayed in RoboCop.
It's 1987, and here we are, 2024, and like you were talking about corporations running things. You're talking about, we've got the Elon Musk buying Twitter now. You've got, we've got privatized prisons for profit and things like that. I mean, this movie was so far ahead of its time. But Pig is this other side of America. It's that Pacific Northwest. It's the sort of smaller cities. It's the weirder kind of people. It's the people that live out in the forest. So I'm throwing that out. I'm just, there you go.
Yeah, that's tough.
I've chummed the water.
I think RoboCop has such more of a grander scale to it, and its story and scope like feels more. It feels much bigger than just, while it does take place in Detroit, it feels so much bigger than that. Versus Pig, which is, like you said, a very small and nuanced story about this former chef becomes he's selling truffles. They kidnap his truffle smelling pig, and he goes on this quest to find it. But the story is so much more than that too. You were saying, like, I think the movie was pitched as like a Nicolas Cage, John Wick type thing, but it couldn't be further from that. Like,
right. You get to the last act and you're expecting this is the part where he goes all violent, and he
uses his words.
He cooks a meal that brings all the emotions out in this guy and just makes him start crying, and you're like going, this movie is great, but what is this?
It's the Ratatouille ending. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It exactly is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh man, if a little rat had come out from under Nicolas Cage's hair.
I was waiting for that reveal. Like, wait a minute, he's been a Ratatouille this whole time.
He was the pig this whole time?
So I guess the big question is, right, do you guys think that the sort of special secret sauce, if you will, that is Pig has any way of sort of taking down the behemoth that is RoboCop? Because RoboCop is, I mean, it's just the only thing missing is an American flag billowing in the background.
Nah, I feel like RoboCop checks all the boxes that we're looking for. Not only is it like broadly a representation of like kind of like what America is at its worst, but it's also a representation of Detroit in a big way. It's just a whole lot more. Whereas Pig is very, very niche. It's great, and it shows you like kind of this, other world, but it's a very, very niche little segment of that community, which I don't think represents like the state, like the larger state as a whole.
I mean, RoboCop's got the haves and the have-nots, and if that doesn't break down 2024 America.
And also in Pig, I forget, does Nicolas Cage shoot someone in the dick?
The most American thing.
No, well, okay, yeah, okay, there you go. No, I mean, 21
That's just going to be
Jump
my
Street.
argument for RoboCop going here on out.
What about you, Kari? You
Actually,
with us on this one? Are you feeling like it's RoboCop?
I mean, if I've driven through, like I did a road trip through Oregon during 2020. That was my thing, and felt very foresty. So as a representation of Oregon, that felt really good. But I mean, if we're going big picture here, I'm going RoboCop.
RoboCop. Oh, okay, I love it. This is a good one. So, oh my God, guys, this is a movie I have to see. But the next round, be prepared. It's going to be RoboCop versus the Wraith.
I knew it was going to come down to that. Damn it.
But we move on. Okay, this next one. Kari's going to have some questions, I'm sure. But what we have here is the matchup of, again, what is regarded as a perfect movie by pretty much everybody here on the podcast, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, versus the giant spider invasion.
How did it come to this?
Sorry, Ferris Bueller, but you know,
So,
you're
I
a
tell you what,
classic, but
Kari, the
I'm
reason-
looking up giant spider invasion because I have not seen.
Yeah.
So this was a movie that Will had been like circling around. I forget, and I'm
You
so
saw
sorry.
it- I'm pretty sure you saw it first time on the Mystery Science Theater 3000.
yeah, I've
right.
seen the Mystery Science version
riff?
85,000 times,
Yeah.
but I have seen it on its own a few.
Refresh
'cause
my
I
memory.
absolutely-
What state was that?
The giant spider invasion is Wisconsin.
State of Insanity,
Yes.
Wisconsin. Oh, that's right,
Wisconsin.
because yes, because
And what
because of the people. That should have been my.
What was it? What was it going up against in Wisconsin?
I
Who
don't
cares?
remember. But
Who
it
cares?
starts the origin of the movie starts exactly like the Wraith. A comet or meteor streaks through the sky, and suddenly we have like spiders coming down. Now the reason, Kari, that it honestly did win was because it was so Wisconsin. It was shot entirely on location.
Yeah.
They were getting townspeople out as extras. They had sort of used Bob a Job, kind of, they borrowed a car to put a giant spider on. And it's just, it's like the state of Wisconsin made a student movie and they all got in on it together.
Yeah.
That you
I think
almost
they
couldn't-
still celebrate this film. right?
Yes, you
As
almost
they
couldn't
should.
Yeah.
not pick it because
Mhm.
you know, it's not like Wisconsin had an incredible amount of movies made about it, but the fact that it was just the actual state all got together and said, no, we're going to get this movie made, and we're going to do it. You kind of had to give it like the, all right, good
Yeah.
for you guys, credit where credit is due. You created a Wraithian level, ridiculous movie that has plot twists that are just so bizarre. It has suddenly, we're like, what is going on with the weird incest vibe that's happening right now? And just this, it had
And
this.
keep in mind,
charm.
Wisconsin wanted this. This is like this is Wisconsin came together to make this movie
It's
where a guy hits on his stepdaughter. It's not super clear.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, one question. Were there any cheese curds mentioned or featured?
I think this
Well,
is-
I think the
this is-
walls are made up of cheese
Yeah.
curds. If you
If
see,
there were no cheese curds,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go with Ferris Bueller. This is just
Yeah.
I have been to Wisconsin several times and have never ever left without a multiple offer for cheese curds. Like they're that's the you can't
Yeah.
they will stop and get it on the way to the airport for you. So unless there's
Oh,
cheese
yeah.
curds represented, giant spiders doesn't call Wisconsin for me. I would straight
I
go.
mean,
that's a
listen.
fair argument.
if here's what I'll say though. If the people in this movie offer you cheese curds, run. Do
Yeah.
not accept these
Yeah,
cheese
they're
curds
probably
under
drunk.
any circumstances.
I mean, here's a little sort of a snippet from the production. I remember we got into this when we were talking about it, Paul. Kind of breaks down how the production went, kind of like the level of production. While attempting to film a scene where the spider explodes, the effects team covered the prop with gunpowder and had a crew member kind of up in a tree trying to light it with matches. Used the entire matchbox, didn't work. Spider didn't explode. Stopped filming, and then as soon as they stopped filming, the spider exploded, causing 2 crew members to get their hair singed and be taken to hospital for severe burns. It
Jesus
is,
Christ.
yeah, it is very much a movie that just it came together through the sacrifice of some people.
Now, Kari, can you find any problem in their process there? Do you think, like, where do you think they could have possibly
Yeah.
gone wrong?
If you were going
I
to
mean,
blow up,
I mess with a lot of I've messed with a lot of gunpowder, and I do not stand next to it with matches.
Interesting.
Oh, so you're
I
pro
mean-
giant spider is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I'm voting for the spiders on this one. I like spiders. I hope they win.
See, Carrie does. You use gunpowder for art, don't you? Is that actually one of them over your shoulder right there? I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
That's
There's
what
lots of them.
other people use pencils and pens. Carrie Byron blows stuff up. Art.
It's just charcoal. It's charcoal drawing.
Just with a
With
bit more
fire.
aggression. Whereas Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I think I still remember seeing it for the first time. I remember it was my godmother's house in Stratford upon Avon when I was 11 years old, and I remember her going, "Oh, what about this movie?" I go, "Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I've never heard of it," and it just stopped everything. That you've never seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Boom! It goes on, and it becomes one of my all-time favorite movies. It's the movie that taught me Chicago. You know, it's all of these things. And when I finally went to Chicago, I'm like going, ooh, ooh, ooh. It's all the stuff I saw from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. Where's the Donkashane building?
Yeah. It is. And I was even reading up to it. It was even like a lot of it was cut out. 2 of his siblings were cut out. It's a movie that was essentially really put together in the edit, which to me seems wild because when you watch it, there's not a wasted second in the whole movie. It is. Carrie, what do you think about Ferris Bueller? Do you hold it?
I mean, yeah, it's America to me. That is definitely one of the movies that informed my childhood. So yes,
Yeah,
I
too.
from the get, this is never going to be a matchup for me. It's all Ferris wins.
Yeah.
Just wins.
Ferris
I agree
Bueller?
too. For me too. It's such an iconic film. I remember where I was when I first saw this movie. I remember how I feel every time I watch this movie. That said, I never would have in a million years watched Giant Spider Invasion had it not been for this podcast. So thank you so much for that, Will. That was such a fun, insane. Did we live? I think we live texted that one, maybe.
Yeah, I think
we
were.
yeah.
We were watching it over
Insane
FaceTime
movie.
or something like that.
Oh my god, yeah. Wild.
All right.
But yeah, I got to give it to Ferris Bueller for
Ferris
sure.
Bueller. So just to point out, that means that is the second movie so far featuring Charlie
A
Sheen
wraith.
that has made it through,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Because Charlie Sheen turns up, has that ridiculous scene with Jennifer Grey. All right, Ferris Bueller makes it through. Sorry, Giant Spider Invasion, you made it further than we thought you would. All right, next up. Okay, we've got Big Fish, Alabama, which Will has big love for Big Fish, and Miami Connection, a movie that I'm sure.
Oh no!
Harry's
Talk about
gonna
Sophie's
have some
choice, Will.
questions
Man.
about.
How did that
Ooh.
become the Florida movie? What did that beat out?
Bad Boys 2 was definitely on the list, which we had all forgotten just how problematic that movie was.
Yeah. Yikes.
In rewatching, because I was funny, I was just listening to a podcast, they've got the directors of the new Bad Boys on, and they were talking about how from Bad Boys you go from sort of just Michael Bay to Bad Boys 2, which is that Bayhem. And it's like there's just the right amount of like the Rockian level of crazy in the first one, and then we get to the second one. The amount of racial slurs and homophobia and everything else that's in Bad Boys 2, alongside the explosions, we were like,
just the tiniest bit of necrophilia.
It just yes, right,
Just a little.
Just enough.
It just made us like weirdly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I'd say, so do you know anything about Miami Connection at all?
This is another one of those really old movies. Well, not old, but like a couple decades, right? That
80s.
Like gang violence, but like
But martial arts, so it's cool.
Well, so
the
story behind it is oh so much more fascinating because essentially it was a movie written by and produced by this guy Y.K. Kim, who was something of a local legend in Florida as a Taekwondo instructor. But he made friends. He was just this cool guy, and he made this movie for next to no money that got shown like 3 times in Florida and then was lost for decades. And it was rediscovered at a Draft House Films, rediscovered it, restored the film, and released it in 2012. So it's a movie that got seen 3 times in the 80s, just in a couple of places in Florida, and someone found it and said, this is bonkers, you've got to see it. They re-released it, and since then it's become this cult movie. So it only got discovered by the world in 2012, and since then it's just become, it's like the strangest movie, Carrie, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's a movie that it takes itself so seriously, but is absolutely is just ridiculous in plot and tone, and another one to like just get a bunch of people together and watch this movie. It's
For real.
so
Okay,
much
let me just
fucking
give you
fun.
the plot breakdown's first sentence.
Yeah.
A cocaine deal in Miami is interrupted by a group of motorcycle riding ninjas.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then and then we get to meet our protagonists. Now the protagonists are a band called Dragon Sound, who are an awesome band, one of whom looks like the guy from Hall & Oates, who also, by the way, are Taekwondo experts. And they also all live together as well. And it's just nothing, no sense. It's just, Carrie, it
Stand
is...
by. I'm putting this on my to-do list.
Yeah, and one of the
Yes.
guys is dating the sister who's like the crime boss's right-hand man's sister.
I mean, it's
So there's that
people
real
that-
dilemma.
Oh, and their names, I love this. The characters' names, guys. Do you remember this? Because I think YK Kim wrote it, right? So you've got Mark, who is YK Kim, and then you've got John, Jeff, Jane, Jack, Jim, and Tom.
It's almost implied that they're all like orphans, but they're like this found family together too. There's a lot of layers in this movie.
The one guy is an orphan because
Yes.
he found his father.
Oh my god.
He gets
Oh
a
my
letter
God.
from. Does he get a letter from the CIA or something? It's just,
Something like that. Yeah.
and
And they all
then
read each other's mail without shirts on,
Yeah.
by the way.
And
So
then-
that's
the
It's
last.
like,
My dad is an
20
iron giant?
Yeah. the last.
Okay.
The last 25 minutes, it becomes almost like
It's
a
ridiculous.
Rambo movie level of just violence, and it's all just people helping out this guy, friends of his, students of his, and they made this movie that is pure Florida, Carrie. It is like the biggest line of cocaine of a movie ever made. It's nonsensical. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's got biker boobs for no reason. Isn't there a biker scene? And when you watch it, you're like, they just went to a biker rally and just shot the movie in the middle, didn't
right.
they?
Yes.
So when you visited Florida,
Yes.
like there were like biker ninja gangs.
I didn't see any biker ninja gangs, but I will.
Well, you don't
just-
see
I'm
them.
Yeah,
they're
they're
ninjas.
ninjas.
I mean, yeah. Like,
you wouldn't see that.
Good point.
Right.
Good point. Okay. My vision of Florida is not remotely what you have described so far. So, as far as representing the state, you feel like it represents Florida.
Oh, in the
It's
best
not-
way. For example, it's called Miami Connection, but it's set in another city, isn't it?
it's
not?
filmed in Orlando, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The audience has to figure out what the connection to Miami
What's the connection to
is.
Miami?
The cocaine.
The cocaine.
I was just
The-
in Orlando like a week ago, and none of this sounds like the experience I had.
Well, the thing is, I was just in Orlando as well, actually. That was my first experience of Florida. And the thing is, Orlando is not a real place. Orlando is like where we were, it was all just, everything was a hotel or everything was a this, that, and the other. It's completely for the tourism. Whereas I kind of was there 2 weeks ago for a family reunion. We got an hour outside. And that's when things get a little bit sort of weird and a little bit crazy. I mean, like my very first morning in Florida, we stop at a gas station. It's not 7 in the morning, and we walk in, and there are two women just wearing pajamas and slippers, and they're screaming at the guy behind the counter, and they try to involve us in the argument, and we're like, "Wow, Florida, you delivered!
boy.
Like it's been 5 minutes, and you're already crazy."
Literally, the only people I know in Florida who are like environmental scientists and astronauts. So maybe I just have,
Yeah.
I have a very different view of the people.
That is,
So you
I-
don't
think
know
we
any
went to
biker
Disney.
ninjas?
Ah, come on.
I only
That is-
met some really.
That's the most Kari Byron sentence. Yeah, all I know is a bunch of astronauts and like scientists in Florida. Well, the thing is, it does have that American go-getness, and I also like about it is produced, written, directed by an immigrant, and America is a country of immigrants as well. So for me, I am so all in on Miami Connection. Now, up against it is Big Fish. Now, you seen Big Fish, Carrie?
Yeah, I actually just recently rewatched Big Fish.
How do you feel about that
Because-
movie?
I mean, I've got a very that guy is my dad,
Mhm.
like legit. I grew up with the Big Fish storytelling dad, so it's very personally beautiful and sweet.
I think, Will, you had a very similar connection, right?
Yeah, it there's a lot of it that reminds me, not just my dad and my grandpa and stuff, but um any sort of like father son story kind of gets me. And that's just like one of the best versions of it. And I think I was telling you guys too, reading the book versus the movie, I actually think the movie improves a lot on like, because the book is a little scattershot. The book isn't like
Mhm.
the same kind of through line as the movie. But I have a pretty big emotional reaction to Big Fish whenever I watch it.
Yeah, see, Will's a big softie. He loves movies like
Yeah.
that, and then he hates movies like Twister, and then we just don't understand him. We just don't get it.
You guys do make like my rivalry with Twister to be a bigger deal. I was just kind of like,
No, you made it a big deal.
you started this, Will.
You think
started
you can just
this
go
and
see
then-
Twisters in 4DX and we'll just forget about all the horrible things you said about the original Twister?
Yeah,
Listen, I
okay.
survived
forget.
Twisters in 4DX. Let me tell you.
He also doesn't like Major Pain, so that's another sore spot.
Well, that's a normal reaction to
No.
Major Pain. That's
Don't
don't start that.
don't.
No. But
You're just sensitive.
so Big Fish took down Blown Away, our Massachusetts movie, which
Huh.
oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
I love
Okay.
that movie. That
This
movie
is just the
amazing.
weirdest podcast I don't understand.
To be fair, we also do not understand.
Well, the thing is, Blown Away, that was very, very Boston, whereas we felt that Big Fish does give a very sort of ethereal and give a very sort of magical experience, but it does give you that Alabama vibe.
And to be fair, Big Fish also beat out Sweet Home Alabama,
Alabama, yes, it did.
the Reese Witherspoon Struck by Lightning movie.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one too.
It's
Yeah.
I can Josh Lucas, he's a cutie in that movie.
Mhm.
All right, the thing is, okay, so we got Big Fish. All right, purely Alabama. We got two people with an emotional reaction to it, and then we got Miami Connection, the completely random motorcycle ninja cocaine of movies, and I'm all in on Miami Connection personally. So my vote is Miami Connection. Bish,
The
bash,
plot to Miami Connection is something your dad would tell you in sort of a Big Fish style tale.
bash.
Like that movie
Ah!
doesn't
Yes.
exist. That movie is a fucking fever dream and a fable that your dad would tell you after a night of drinking Jack Daniels. Like, it's crazy.
If your dad was Ricky O.
Oh my god.
Oh,
hang
oh.
on. Right.
Yeah.
Let me write that down.
Wait a second.
See, there you go. It's another. Write that down, guys. That's another idea.
You had me at
Another
Ricky O.
idea.
I forgot. I didn't even hear the rest of what you said. Yeah, no, I would probably give it to Big Fish over Miami Connection because I think it tells people. I think people could connect, no pun intended, could connect with Big Fish better than they could with Miami Connection, unless you're a cocaine dealing Taekwondo instructor who's also in a band.
Some of us might be.
You never know. People have
Yeah.
dark lives. You know, they're astronauts / motorcycle ninjas in Florida, I'm sure. So, okay, one for Big Fish from Ryan, one for Miami Connection from me. Will, we'll go to Will.
Well, okay, despite the fact that I do think we are all friends for eternity, honesty, loyalty, we stick together through thick or thin. I think at the end of the day, I still have to go Big Fish because that's just, I think also, again, talking about the Americanness of it all, it's hard to get more America than like your dad telling you a bunch of tall tales and just to kind of, I don't know, it just encapsulates more, I think, of the state, more of America in that movie, despite the fact that I love Miami Connection and I can go get the Blu-ray right now. It is right over there.
I do love, so what he was doing there is he was using the lyrics from the song
Right.
that opens up the movie Miami Connection. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, do they not sing what's happening in the movie as well? Like,
Yeah, a lot
At
of the
one point they do.
musical,
Yeah.
a lot of the musical, much. I guess I would say like there's another kind of like Oklahoma, like the music serves as like an exposition dump
yeah,
for the.
I mean, honestly, Kari, I know you've noted down that you're going to watch Miami Connection. Either we'll watch it when I'm in San Francisco in a couple of weeks, or we'll all watch it and we'll live text because
Yep.
it is insane. But Kari, so we've
Oh,
got
well.
2-1 at the moment. Are you going to pick Miami Connection or are you going with Big Fish?
I don't know if I can consider myself a whole vote because I have not actually watched it, but based on your explanation and based on my feelings about Big Fish and the shifting, constantly moving criteria of what this podcast is about and what this list even means, um, I, I'm convinced, Ollie. I swear to God, at Miami Connection, I feel like
What?
that might be screaming America right now, and
It's the America we need right now.
explaining it to
Yes.
me and the vision of what America is right now. I kind of feel like
while RoboCop paints this like very bleak dystopian future, there's this like glimmer of hope that Miami Connection brings. Like you said in the lyrics, Will, if you could say them again for us.
That they're friends for eternity, honesty, loyalty. They stick together through thick or thin.
Well, I mean, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That says
yeah.
America
So
has
if I don't think I get a whole vote though. So I don't know if I'm actually going to tie this up for you because I didn't actually see it. I'm just like. I listened to the debate and I'm feeling pretty good about my choice.
Yeah, there you go. Fair enough.
I already forgot. Ryan, what did you and I vote? What did we say?
I went with Big Fish.
You went with Big
which
Fish.
a movie I'm like I said a number of times, like the movie just never really connected with me. I didn't see it until as much later in my Tim Burton filmography, and I was just like, this isn't what I want. I want more Beetlejuices and Batmans.
So, okay, now hang on a second. I'm gonna throw a little thing in here. All right, so this is from the writer, creator, director, producer Kim. Okay, YK Kim. He borrowed from friends, took out loans, spent all of his savings, mortgaged his taekwondo school to finance the film. He'd never made a film before, and Kim said that he had no idea what he was doing. He had hoped to find a distributor so the film would play nationally, but hundreds of distribution companies and studios rejected him, including all major film distributors, several independent film distributors, and he later said, every distribution company rejected it after screening and said to me, don't waste your time, just throw it away, it is trash.
That is the American dream right there.
Wow.
There you go. See?
Because it gets discovered 30 years later and it comes back and it becomes this thing, this iconic thing that people have got t-shirts and they've got everything and they've got DVDs and everything else. My argument is, I'm with Kari on this one.
Yeah.
This is the pure immigrant American dream that actually got realized.
If y'all gonna make me a t-shirt for it, I'd definitely vote for it.
You know what? Yeah, I think
Writing that
changed
down.
my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think Miami Connection might have the legs to take this whole goddamn thing.
I know, I swear to God.
I think so.
Oh, which means we'd have to get Kari to watch it and then we'll do another episode following it up. But all right, so have I swayed you? I did it. I'm a terrible person. Sorry, Big Fish. Miami Connection goes through. Well, whatever good feelings you had about Miami Connection making it through to the final four, it's going up against Ferris Bueller in the next round. So we'll see how that goes, guys. We're almost there. We've got 4 more matchups before we get to that final four. So this is the tough one, guys. This is the one where we knew it was going to be hard. Friday Night Lights, Texas. Pure America, pure football, up against Field of Dreams, Iowa. Pure baseball, pure Americana. Where are you guys landing? Because I'll tell you this much, Kari, we were honestly surprised. Texas was a pretty strong one, but Friday Night Lights, we just couldn't get over the America of it, the Texas of it. I mean, as someone who lives in Texas, the seriousness with which they take the sport. This team even reached out to me as that Englishman in Texas, inviting me to come and watch a game kind of thing. It's just how it works in Texas. But then
Sounds like a bribe to me.
Right.
Yeah,
But then also, Field of Dreams, they literally did build that. And people do go there. And the only thing that makes us sad is that because this baseball field does exist in a field in Iowa, and now some big capitalist corporation has bought it, and they're going to build 10 more all around it and create this baseball. And I'm like, no. America has capitalism with a capital C.
America just American it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So have you seen both of these movies, Kari? Yeah. All right. So how do you feel? I mean, because interestingly enough, I think both of you fellows are one of them. They weren't crazy about Field of Dreams, whereas for me, I love that movie.
It's a movie I didn't grow up watching that movie, and I had this weird it was in in such a cultural zeitgeist, like it was made fun of and pastiched and like all these things that I'd seen prior, like whether it be Simpsons or whatever. So when I finally watched it, I'm like, this movie is insane. Like
Yes.
it's crazy. That's so my gut is to say Friday Night Lights, because it's such a more grounded telling of this like small town in Texas. You know, it just feels way more real to me
Yeah, what
than
we liked about Friday
baseball
Night Lights is
ghosts.
it ends with them not winning.
Right.
You know, that was like the kind of surprise. But Will, because Will, you like we just talked about with Big Fish, any movie with a dad-son connection. I mean, like for me, Field of Dreams, and he goes, "Do you want to have a catch?" And at that point, I'm just like, just catch the ball with him. I'm
I
like,
cried for that one too.
Yeah, I mean, both these movies have me in tears at different parts. But no, I love Field of Dreams. I think I actually every movie we mentioned, I think I could actually go get off my shelf right now so far. And like this one, yeah, this is such a hard choice because not only the end of Field of Dreams are you like in tears, but then I think of like the scene with the kid in the car with his dad, yeah, and just I was gonna buy you a house, and I start to cry there too. So
that
I
was
don't
the
know.
most heartbreaking moment of the movie. We talked about that. Is the bit where he's injured, he can't do the thing, and he's saying goodbye to all the boys, and he's just being super cool and super chill and super no good. And he gets in the car and he just breaks, and all of us broke with him. We're just like, oh, I'm crushed now. Thanks, movie. I'm like,
yeah.
So like, I mean, so you got America's pastime, and you got like American football. I don't know where to begin.
I feel like I'm just saying, Kevin Costner. I feel like he bleeds red, white, and blue right now. So I think there's
Mr. Horizon himself.
I I feel right now Kevin Costner might push it over the edge for me. It just is a really long time, constant representation of America. Like every movie he's in is so America that if you're putting it in the big picture of representing not just your state.
You mean the Russian spy from No Way Out? Get out of here.
I'm being selective. I'm being very selective.
I brought that movie to the table and they loved it, Carrie.
Hell yeah.
They knew nothing. It's one of my favorite thrillers.
Oh no, I had seen it, but Ryan hadn't.
I hadn't seen it.
But Field of Dreams, okay, Field of Dreams, it's basically, are we going with the reality or are we going with the sort of like the parable? You know, that's the way you got to look at it.
It's not even my favorite ghost baseball movie.
there are quite a few.
Yeah, there are a lot.
I'm leaning Field of Dreams, personally.
My gut reaction is Field of Dreams, I think.
Yeah.
If you stack them against, like I said, my argument being that Friday Night Lights is such a more grounded tale, but it is a very like that small town in Texas playing football. It's not bigger than baseball as a whole, I think. So I mean,
right, and then Field of Dreams, what it does as well is it gives us that element of weird time travel, because it shows us America of a different time, an America of the time now, and then the America of the future, and the one constant being baseball. It's got James Earl fricking Jones.
It does.
You know?
Yeah. Here's what I'll say for Field of Dreams is this last time watching it, put something in my head, and now I'm watching baseball regularly. I never have watched baseball on a regular basis, but something clicked in my head this year, and now I'm like watching baseball all the time.
I think once you hit a certain age.
Yeah,
I think so too. In a couple years, I'm gonna be all about World War II history, so it's just on the horizon.
It comes with your AARP.
Yeah, there you go.
Sweet.
You're gonna turn into the big fish.
All right, so that seemed like a 4-0. That everyone went Field of Dreams. Okay, well done, Field of Dreams.
Yeah. Sorry, football. Sorry,
and it's
America.
going to be a great matchup for next up, because our next two are City Slickers, New Mexico, and Thunderheart, South Dakota.
God damn it.
Now, so Kara, have you seen Thunderheart? Because the guys hadn't. It's a Michael Apted movie, Val Kilmer. It's shot by Roger Deakins, and it's all shot on location in the sort of like on the res in South Dakota. Quite surprising movie. Very, very America. And a big subplot of the movie being that, surprise, surprise, the government's lying to the natives and trying to move them off their land so that they can exploit it for money. and they're doing
No.
it through murder. And then you've got City Slickers, which brings kind of like, you know, American city guys, and they go on this just classic American adventure.
I gotta go City Slickers just because I want more hope than I do bleak like reality. You know, I like you kind of you thinking back, you watch movies to escape or to feel a certain way, and I think we even said on that episode like that City Slickers is just that like warm blanket, that comforting feeling that you get versus the harsh reality of Thunderheart, you know.
I like that argument. Like City Slickers, I think is one of Will's favorite movies of all time. And I think what was surprising is that I went in with a sense of trepidation because I was worried it wasn't going to hold up. I remember watching it as a kid and thinking it was fantastic. And then you get into the animated opening credits. And you're like, wait a minute, this is quite funny. And by the time we get to the bit where they're riding in, and they go dun, 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 and then the music kicks in and then stops, and I'm like completely covered in goosebumps, and I'm beaming from ear to ear. I think City Slickers is, for me, very Ferris Buellerian in a just. Is it a perfect movie?
It's up there with like the Doc Hollidays and the Ferris Buellers. It just has that like, it's just that it's that chicken soup movie. You know, you can throw it on any time and it'll put you in a better mood.
You got Jack Powell.
Okay, Ryan. Yep, you convinced me.
Yeah,
You convinced me. Yeah, I'll vote City Slickers.
yeah. I think so. I think so too. As much as I would say, watch Thunderheart. If you're
That's a great one. Yeah.
If you're interested in movies, if you want to see something beautiful, like I said, Roger Deakins shot it, and like Ryan says, it gets into something. It's very kind of Killers of the Flower Moon, I think.
Yeah.
Similar
Or
sort of
like
vibe.
Wind River. It's just
Yeah.
the truth behind it is not great. I mean, it's like the story that it's telling. You're like, you know, it's bringing that to the forefront. It's raising awareness for it, but it's pretty shitty. You know, it's not like a feel good movie.
Bad.
Yeah.
It's like makes me feel guilty. Even though you didn't do anything. All right. Okay. City Slickers is through. That's going to go up against Field of Dreams in a moment. This next one,
Ultimate
honestly,
dad off.
This one I think is an absolute slam dunk in my opinion. I'm amazed if we even get into the debate. But it's Nevada Casino up against Swamp Thing from South.
Bye, Casino. Bye.
Again, if only there was a way to combine the two.
Oh my God. See Joe Pesci fight a Swamp Thing?
Oh,
I love Casino.
Casino is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
But Kari, another one to note on your things to do: find Swamp Thing and watch it. It's bizarre. It is.
I've seen Swamp Thing.
You've seen the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
But have you seen Swamp Thing 2?
Electric Swampaloo. You know, yeah.
Quite how Swamp Thing made it in through to the second round, as well as making it into the draft itself. I'm actually really impressed.
What did it? God,
I mean, if Wraith made, I mean, I feel like shifting criteria here, right?
Yeah. We did that episode with Beth. I think she brought that to the table.
She did. With
yes.
Beth, she was South Carolina. Yeah, she had. Was it Shag? Exclamation mark.
Shag, Swamp Thing, and
Doc Hollywood.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
And Swamp Thing won.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is insane. Yeah.
But I'm just Casino.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm on a different wavelength than you guys. All right, I guess Casino it is.
So Casino goes through, and then our last matchup here is Minnesota's Grumpy Old Men. What a movie. Absolute banger, up against North Carolina's Bull Durham. What a movie.
Horny old dudes or horny young dudes?
Yeah.
When you put it that way, as a single woman,
Go on.
Pretty much nailed it, actually. But yes, it's what kind of horny are we going for? Both great comedies, both with a beautiful, iconic sort of female character as well, kind of thrown into the middle of it.
I mean, Carrie, if you had to choose between Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, or Tim Robbins and
Kevin Costner.
That's.
I mean, I feel like that was my Hinge lineup for a minute there. I have some stories.
I'm going Jack Lemmon all day. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, come on.
Right,
the correct answer is Burgess Meredith, though.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but then, all right, let's get a little bit more into the weeds of it because they both do a very good job right now. So Bull Durham was shot all on location in North Carolina. He had those incredible shots where we came from the town into the ballpark. We went out and about on tour. But the thing is, it's also Kevin Costner. It's also baseball again, like we said with
It
Field of
is
Dreams.
funny how these two movies, the plot basically overlaps, is like just a
Well,
weird
honestly,
love
if you look
triangle.
at all of Kevin Costner's movies, they all basically overlap. He's always, if it's
No,
not
I
Jurassic World,
mean,
Postman.
right, but I mean the fact that the overlap of Bull Durham and Grumpy Old Men. I mean, it's
Right.
it's two guys vying for the love and attention of one horny lady.
100%.
As it was written in the stars.
Yeah, but Susan Sarandon, oh my god.
Yeah, and Margaret being incredible.
Yeah, it's tough.
He had the.
Oh.
This is very, very hard. Okay, I think all right. I was going to say we've got classic moments, but you got the moments, the bit where the grumpy old men are fighting and then the other dad comes on and suddenly they're kids again.
Yeah.
But then you got the bit in Bull Durham where they're having the huddle, but they're just trying to decide what they should buy. And it's like, it's just that classic American scene of the guys just, we're dealing with some important shit here.
And I think too, like you said, you sprinkle in the baseball of it and it doesn't get more American than that. But man, I fucking
the
love
ladies'
Grumpy Old
underwear.
Men.
Yeah.
Rose goes in front. Yeah.
From Bull Durham, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Done with old men.
Okay. Right, Kari's all in on the young fellas. All right. I mean, it's very hard for me. Will, you jump in because I can see you've got something on the tip of your tongue right there.
Well, do we want two Kevin Costner baseball movies advancing to like this far in the competition? Is that
How funny it'd be if they were up against each other though?
They may do, in fact, depending on
right?
the
Costner versus Costner.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I made Costner off.
A
That's like a
Costner
gun.
event. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. I guess where I'm falling is like watching Grumpy Old Men started me on like my journey of watching every Lemon and Mathau movie, and I've been having a great time.
It's been having a lemon party over there.
Just a big old lemon party. Mom, I know you're listening. Do not look that up.
Don't Google that.
But yeah, again, I guess more, our criteria being like more America, what's representing America. Yeah, I guess that goes to Bull Durham. Yeah.
It doesn't have to, buddy. You can have it.
Yeah, but as I'm thinking about it and like kind of where we've landed, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That it does fit better, even though I enjoy Grumpy Old Men.
I do too.
More.
Like the same thing with City Slickers. It's just it has this like inherent sweetness to it. Like you can't deny the chemistry that Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon have had throughout their career, culminating in this movie as well. And there's just something sweet about it. But if you're going like bigger picture, yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's just enough.
Yeah.
Susan Sarandon she's yep. I mean, I agree. All right.
Even though I don't believe her and Tim Robinson know. Yeah.
But and Margaret at the same time.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's almost like Grumpy Old Men is like a sequel to Bull Durham.
I like looking at it in that way. All right, so Kari went Bull Durham. Will, you leaned.
I'm going Bull Durham.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Bull Durham too, though I think I got more enjoyment out of Grumpy Old Men because I myself am a grumpy old man.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was for me, I hadn't really seen it, and it was a joy, an absolute joy to watch, but so was Bull Durham, which did crack me up. Yep. So I think the baseball of it and the Kevin Costner, it kind of like you were saying, Kari, the Kevin Costner of it, he is a very American, all right. So it's through. All right. So we have 4 more matchups to get through and then we can leave it as it is. But so I'll break them down. We've got Arizona's The Wraith up against Michigan's RoboCop.
Wow.
We've got Ferris Bueller up against Miami Connection. Field of Dreams up against City Slickers, and Casino up against Bull Durham. We're going to start with The Wraith, guys. And this is the big one. The Wraith versus RoboCop.
Oh, man. It's got to be RoboCop, man. It's just got to be.
My gut instinct is RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Wraith is the dope. The Wraith is great, and it's the underdog, and it's ridiculous, and Charlie Sheen and everything else. But RoboCop is just it's a movie that, I mean, I love watching like the behind
They're
the
both movies about resurrection, if you think about it.
Yes,
you know?
they are.
It's true.
You know, they are quite literally. And like, but RoboCop is a movie that the more you sort of like, it shouldn't
It's
have
saying
worked.
more too. You know, it's.
I think in
it's
the
not-
hands of anywhere else, if someone else had directed it, if not Paul Verhoeven, I don't know if we'd still be talking about RoboCop. You know, it would be just almost like, but it's got a great script. It's just like it's on the nose. I think it's
Yeah, and
RoboCop.
how that movie came to be made too it's a
Brilliant.
miracle,
It's
and the
got
fact that it was like
amazing
lightning in a
story.
bottle. Yeah.
I mean, and to borrow a phrase from one of my favorite writers, Sean Baby, RoboCop is so American it bleeds buffalo sauce. Like that's just the end of the day. That's what I got to come down with.
So is that what happened to Alex Murphy? Because that was a lot of barbecue sauce.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's what it was. People
That is
think
a
it's
movie-
blood.
That is a movie that gave me, it's
Yeah.
my first sort of boiled in nightmare was seeing Alex Murphy's death scene. And then I couldn't watch RoboCop again until I was about 20 years old because I saw it when I
For
was
me,
like,
it was when the guy gets
11.
toxic Avengered and
yeah!
seeing his head roll off of the.
Toxic Revenge.
Yeah.
When he's just like, when he's melted by the thing and then he just gets.
Did you
oh,
see
just
the
liquid.
because the Olympics are going on right now? The meme of for the first person to get out on the triathlon, the Seine River, it's just him. It's just-
Yeah.
Ah, damn it. So, I mean, what's more American than seeing that character in a meme about the Paris Olympics? We got there, guys. We got
We
there.
did it.
You connected
We
it to
did
the
it.
Olympics. There you go. All right, it's done. RoboCop
Yeah.
is in the
God damn
final
it.
four. Michigan,
Wow.
you defeat Arizona. RoboCop makes it to the final four. RoboCop will be going up against either Ferris Bueller or Miami Connection, guys. So now we have the perfect movie that we all love, and we have the ultimate crazy underdog movie of them all. It is the David and Goliath of matchups right here. I almost feel like we have to pause the podcast, and then Carrie has to go watch Miami Connection. And then we come back to.
We'll be back in
to
an
the
hour and a
round.
half.
Ferris
This is-
wins.
This
Come
is.
on.
I want to say that too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it is a movie that makes me feel happy every time. I watch it.
Chicago.
Yep.
So Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it made me want to go to Chicago. But look at Will's face though. Will, you know, is there a
I did wanna point out-
Dragon Sound lyric or
I-
that can?
I did want to point out, I was thinking of this the other day 'cause when we were talking about Napoleon Dynamite.
Right.
Well, then I had like a very visceral reaction to that movie. We didn't care for like the culture that it spawned. You're like, people were buying like vote for Pedro shirts. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't think too, like when Ferris Bueller came out, people were also buying like Save Ferris shirts.
Yeah.
Like I think that movie was so big, it was just there was no internet around it to fuel that fire, so to speak.
To make
So
it
I just-
annoying.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So I was just thinking like,
It's
I mean,
like
people
I
Save
see
Ferris
it.
was the vote for Pedro of its
Yeah.
day.
I mean, I see it on Reddit every now and again, like on the Zennial Reddit and stuff like that. But they'll post it's just a picture, and it's just a picture of a house and a bunch of trees. But it goes, you can post this picture, and it triggers something in everybody that knows because it's just
The
Cameron's
Ferris
house.
Bueller. Oh, okay.
You know, the one where the
Oh yeah.
Ferrari's going to come out the back, and you're like, you sit there and you're going, he's so right. It's like even that Beatles song. Every time it starts playing, I immediately start
Yeah.
picturing Matthew Broderick, you know, singing Dankeschön or like, you know, whatever they're doing. But like, I
The
don't
museum
think,
scene alone. I mean,
yeah, I mean, there you go. When I went to Chicago, I went to the museum. I found that painting with all the dots, and that was my Instagram. Is I
Sure, yeah.
recreated the thing of just getting closer and closer and closer. So
And
go
I'll
on.
say, you know, Ferris Bueller did start my lifelong obsession with dethroning the Sausage King of Chicago.
did you say
Abe
dethroning or deep throating?
Listen, that's between me and Abe, all right?
It's got Jennifer Grey as well, the classic piece of
Yes.
America.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen. It's got he's a righteous dude. I mean, it's just like
Oh
It's a
yeah,
righteous dude.
it did
It's-
bring us Edie McClurg, famous
it's
from 1992's Airborne.
one of the funniest like lines or moments in movie
Yeah.
history for me is Ed, Ferris Bueller's online too. Duh! And it's like that is for me
Yeah,
peak cinema. So I think we're all agreed. As
Yep.
much as Kari, please, like I said, we'll organize a watch of Miami Connection some way because it is bonkers. But
Yep.
Ferris Bueller goes through to the final four. It's
wow,
going to go up against RoboCop next week. That is
Jesus Christ.
brutal.
Mhm.
Oh, we've turned into a real movie podcast. All right, two more matchups to go, guys. This one also tear your heart out hard. Field of Dreams, Iowa, up against City Slickers, New Mexico. Wow. I'm not starting on this one. Anybody else wanna take a?
I mean, I'm gonna go for my gut again. I just want to go City Slickers because I have more adoration for that movie than I do A Field of Dreams. Like, I just never connected that movie when I was younger. I mean, I know my dad loved it. I'm sure he read the book and loved baseball. And I don't know. I just never. I still think it's just a weird ghost baseball movie.
So okay, so what I'm sort of reading into that is like, you like the mysticalness of it is a certain thing, but up against the reality of what City Slickers is.
Yeah.
City Slickers is actual America.
Like, I look at all of us, and we're just a bunch of city slickers.
Right?
Are we gonna go play ghost baseball? Probably not.
I do like a good fish out of water too.
Yeah, I mean, City Slickers is great. You got the male bonding. What we got into was the positive male relationships.
Yeah.
That the movie had. Is that something?
We need more of that. I'm going City Slickers.
Agreed. Yes.
But 100% that, like, you know, when we got into it was like they were able to be open to each other and say they loved each other and give each other a kiss on the head. And that's something that when we watched it through the lens of now, that we're like, it really stood out to us as what positive male relationships they had. And like, you know, that's another sort of element that we really enjoyed about the movie. You got Jack Palance, you got that kind of American Southwest. It still feels like a cowboy movie, even though it's not. You know, I think City Slickers. I think City Slickers.
Yeah.
All right. This is moving along. I like this. All right, so City Slickers. We got one more matchup to go. So at the moment, our final four, we've got RoboCop against Ferris Bueller. We've got City Slickers. Will be going up against either Casino or Bull Durham. So is it Casino versus Bull Durham, guys? We've got Martin Scorsese's, you know, it's like his most rewatchable movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can always put on Casino. And
Casino always wins.
And it's violent, like so many of his other movies, but it never gets like uncomfortable. Like sometimes Goodfellas, you're like, ooh, you know what I mean? Or, you know, some of those other moments can kind of get you. I mean, like Gangs of New York and so many other Scorsese's, but Casino has got that sort of element of fun to watch, even though it's brutal. And Bull Durham, horny, Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon.
Just trying to think of like the America in all of it too.
Right.
You know, like.
Well, the thing is, Casino gets into, no spoiler alert, America's quite a violent place. And it's like, Casino is violence and capitalism all sort of put together, and it gives us that sort of element. It's got the 70s and the 80s. It gives us that flavor, that time. And then what is more wild and crazy in America than Vegas?
I want to say though too, like Casino also paints a picture of a time that's gone. You know, a time that doesn't really exist anymore. Not like that. I mean, even the movie ends with this modernization of Las
like
Vegas and Nevada.
Just,
whereas you kind of look at the ending of like a Bull Durham, like that town still exists. Like these people still, like I feel like time kind of paused there. It just didn't. I don't know. I just get a very different feeling for the lives of these characters in Bull Durham versus the lives of these characters in a Casino. You know, it's tough.
I like that, Ryan.
I'm thinking of like the idyllic, like.
Good point. Will, I want to get you in on this as well. Where are you?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm falling on Casino. Just because I think I think it. I don't know. I guess maybe because Bull Durham just doesn't connect with me on the same level. Just like, even though I can appreciate the horniness, and the baseballness, there's something about Casino that's like,
you get more pleasure of Joe Pesci using a baseball bat than you do.
Exactly. See, now you're getting it.
Or used on him.
Hang on, is Casino another baseball movie, guys?
That just made it more America. I think that just
that
might have just pushed it over the edge right there.
I think you're absolutely right. I'm leaning Casino. I think it's a great matchup. I think Bull Durham is so fun. It is pure America, but I think what Casino gets into a little bit of the dirty underside of America, instead of like Bull Durham being like almost like a little bit rose tinted glasses, you know, you know, the smell of a mitt and the taste of a dog kind of thing. Casino is like, when I say taste of a dog, I mean a hot
Yeah,
dog,
wait,
by the way.
what? Okay.
All right, so I'm going Casino, Ryan Casino, Kari
Yeah.
Casino. All right, guys. All right. So
Wow.
we are done. We have put together our final four, which we will next week take down to a winner. So just to clarify, here we are. On the one side, we've got RoboCop up against Ferris Bueller,
Crazy.
and we've got City Slickers up against Casino. That's going to. I may
Wow.
have to watch all of these movies this week just for fun, because why wouldn't I? How are you guys feeling? I say, Kari, we started off, you were somewhat like confused by some of our choices. You were confused by some of our sort of like, you know, how we were going to select it. But where we've ended up, RoboCop, Ferris Bueller, City Slickers, Casino, you feeling
Feel good about it. I feel
Yeah?
very good about that.
Yeah. Well, what? And also, Ryan, you have to make a Miami Connection T-shirt, I believe, for Kari as well.
Yeah, that is.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I'm on it.
When I wear your t-shirts outside, people are always like, "Where did you get that? What is that?"
You don't listen to the James Hong podcast?
Will, how are you feeling about our final four, considering where we started over a year ago? Here we are.
I mean, I'm sad for Giant Spider Invasion, but I think ultimately I'm pretty happy with where we ended up. And to our listeners, you can call in and override our votes. So go ahead. Oh, wait, did we decide not to do that? All right.
Slide into Will's DMs.
Yes.
We should do a losers bracket.
Well, actually,
Oh,
what
there
I
we
was
go.
going to suggest, actually, for next week is that while we are going to crown a champion next week, Ryan and Will, I want you to pick your own personal favorite out of all of the movies that we've done for the year. So we will include the specials. We'll include, DC, any of them, the Thanksgiving. I just want you guys to go up and just pick your favorite movie from the year. Can be
We'll do
any
like a top
reason
5.
why. If you want to, but like, because we ended up watching something like 170 something movies over the year. We've been introduced to absolutely incredible ones, like from Will sometimes, these ones we've never even heard of that have taken us on such an adventure. It's been a pleasure. So outside of that, Kari, what's going on in your life? Something you want to talk about? Where can we see you? What are you up to?
I mean, you can find me very easily on social media, but I'm working really hard on the National STEM Festival, which is the science fair for the country in Washington, D.C. And we're about to launch our challenge so that we can choose the best of the best kids from all over the United States and bring them to Washington.
Wait a minute,
Amazing.
You're doing a state world championship?
Stealing
of
our
your
bracket?
I'm stealing your bracket. Yeah, I'm trying to find the kids that are going to cure all of the ailments that us grumpy old men and women will be suffering from very soon.
So I do actually, so you can follow it's Explore, EXPLR. I actually follow you guys on TikTok, on Instagram and stuff. And so yes, very much is that they went and they got the top kid scientists from every single state, basically like this podcast, bringing them all together. And some of their ideas are really fantastic. So if you want to find out more, make sure you follow Kari or look up, about this, the Explore. And
How
what
many of
they
these
do.
kids are making RoboCops, though?
Oh, actually, some of them are doing some very, very good prosthetic and 3D printing work and robots.
Ooh.
So, and Ryan, if you need a little bit
Yes.
of hope, because it sounds like you are really searching for hope right now from
Definitely.
all of our conversations,
Yes.
every kid has to bring in a project that will have a positive impact on the world.
Yes,
So
I love that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's the thing.
That's
So
amazing.
I feel like this. You feel like you
My
need a
heart.
little hope.
My heart.
And one of those kids is making a wraith, so be excited for that.
Spoiler
As-
alert, it's me.
As for the rest of us, don't forget, you can find us on our Facebook page, the United States of Movie Yorker. You can also find us on Reddit as well. You want to give us your opinions on how this bracket is going or what you would have done in this particular situation. You can also find Will as Entitled Millennial, especially on his TikTok. He has a wall of movies. He likes to bring out movies you've maybe never heard of and sort of talk about maybe something you might want to enjoy. Ryan, as we've heard, makes incredibly cool t-shirts, 2 of which are being featured right now. He also does incredible redesigns of movie posters and things like that. You can find him as Rhino Digital, RYNO Digital, on Threadless, on Etsy, and things like that. And you can find me as That Englishman in Texas, or as Ollie Pettigrew on Facebook, where we like to talk about all things Texas. But every Monday, I like to get into movies, whereas next week, we will be finally, guys, crowning a champion. So from me, from Ryan and Will, Kari, thank you so much once again for joining us here on the
Anytime.
podcast.
Always a pleasure. Always
It
a
was
pleasure.
awesome. Like I said,
Yep.
we will get you that t-shirt, and we are 100% going to find a way to watch Miami Connection together. I guarantee it. But from all of us here at the United States of Movie Podcast, thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and we will see you next time.